Hello, welcome back. Project Haggis. For those of you who don't know, Cairngorm Brown. So Cairngorms is a very beautiful region of Scotland, Albershire, yeah, as is Haggis. Haggis is actually I quite like haggis, but then I also like black pudding, rambling. If you like this kind of stuff, if you don't, find you can't turn it off. Comments down there somewhere. Contact me, churchhouseclassics, it's all one word, @gmail.com. If you want to buy merch, bottle openers, handy key organisers, etc., it's in the description below down here. There's a few left. If you want to buy me a pint, I like pints. Thank you very much. And if you want to support the channel, not necessarily buy me booze. Okay. Lump of grease there. See, I've been working today. Then there's a PayPal me link right down here. Enjoy the video. Second day, right, okay. I haven't got the heater unit out yet because I'm just pulling the hoses off in the engine bay. And then I got completely distracted by pulling the loom through. I might have to voice this over because of the noise in the background. It just went quiet. And I thought, oh, fuck it, I'll do a bit of recording. And they go all noisy again. This stuff is to do with the dual charge. It's to do with a live feed going straight through to the trailer, because all the wiring went through the bulkhead and goes up towards the back end. So I'll strip all that out, because as far as I'm aware, the customer doesn't need any of that anymore, but I will double check. So heater hoses are off. Loom is out on both sides. I've taken the headlight units out. It's all very clean in here. Okay, it looks a bit crumbly, but that's all just dust. No rust in here at all. Ooh, what's that? That might be a little bit of rust there. Over here, similarly, very, very, very clean. Down here, very, 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 very clean. Yes, right, okay, so I'm going to get the rest of this loom out, get the heater unit out. And then I think I can start fitting the new loom in, because I want to make sure I've got all the right connectors on that fella. So I've left as much intact on this as I possibly can. Believe it or not, that's all of the loom there for the passenger side of the car. Looks like spaghetti. Hey, it's not too bad really. It could be worse. Right, this little fella here was the stay bracket. It's not needed on a right-hand drive car, but you need to have a left-hand drive version of one of these, which I've got up here somewhere. There he is. Because they are different. Left-hand drive, right-hand drive. You see they're oriented different. So just bear that in mind. I'll put those two up there because those bolts hold it onto the bulkhead. That goes in the left-hand drive box. Just trying to keep all the bits, the left-hand drive out of the way so I don't end up refitting them accidentally. Yes, right, heater out next I think. When you're getting the heater unit out, because I probably didn't cover this in the heater matrix video, you don't need to strip the dash down to this extent. So basically you need the centre console out obviously in all the lower dash sections. The top dash section can stay in place, okay, but you must loosen the passenger side where the grab rail goes. So on a right hand drive car it'd be over here, but on that, in that case, left hand drive car it'd be over there. The reason being is that the plastic pipes on the back of these plastic heater units are prone to snapping off, the bottom one especially, if it hasn't got enough room to manoeuvre up and out. Now I've taken the carpet out of this thing. You don't even need to take the carpet out to get one of these bastards out. So with the top dash in place, but just loosened on one side, be it left hand drive or right hand drive, just loosened on one side, then there's four big bastard bolts that secure it to the bulkhead. Once those are out and the hoses are off on the outside, what I tend to do is swivel the bottom out. So it needs to come forwards a little bit. Feel where the pipes come through down here. And you can see now already, that is already going to be pushing up against the inside of the dash. So this is where you kind of need to make sure that the top dash is loose enough that it's not going to interfere with it. Now with the dash out completely, this becomes a piece of piss to get out. But with the dash in place, what I would tend to do is to slide it out into the passenger footwell. And it tends to come down like that. So swivel it round and down, and then out and underneath the steering wheel, and there it comes. Of course, you will remember to undo the wiring loom, won't you? What a tool! Right, and that is the heating unit. Out ski. Oh, there's also a vacuum pipe on here as well. Let's get that vacuum pipe off. There we go, vacuum pipe's off. Now, I need to go and have a look at this heating unit because I'm not convinced it's working. Right, there's a bit of a water leak down there, but you can see now it's all out of the way. Now, what I was saying about this thing earlier on, let's balance you there, let's balance you there, let's turn Mr. Mike around. So what I was saying about this earlier on, this flap here, that should be resting in the closed position, and it's not. Maybe it should rest in the open position, I don't know. Maybe it's open until the engine starts and it gets a vacuum. Either way, the vacuum pipe would come off in the engine anyway. I'll double check this. It was sticky. This thing might need refoaming. I'll talk to the customer about that. I also need to check the motor on it as well and make sure. So on the back here, you can see this bottom pipe. This thing's not been running antifreeze for a long time, has it? On the back here, you can see this bottom pipe, and because it's plastic, they do have a nasty habit of breaking off. Especially if you can't swivel it out of the way easily enough. So as you saw, I took it out into what would be the UK passenger footwell with a right-hand drive car. That's the easiest way of getting it out. But I'll check the functionality of this thing before it goes back in. Lots of dust. Look at all that lovely dust. Right. But the heater is out. I can now start to look for any more gold sovereigns. There aren't none. The reason I had to take the heater unit out is because the loom runs across the bulkhead. There it is. You can't get at the loom with the heater unit in place. There's another one of those like in foam things. It's completely disintegrated. Right, what else have we got here? We've got a piece of trim there. We've got a piece of trim down here. Some fun and games, isn't there? Now, what holds the loom up there? I think, if I'm right, it was a screw. It is a screw. There might be a nut, actually. May contain nuts, folks. May contain nuts. Now, this is where kind of the challenge comes in now, because this stuff is all just disintegrating naturally. That bit's come off. There we are. That bit comes off. Come on. Fucking thing. Right, now. There's a bloody great big black and yellow cable, and I don't know what that was for. I shall investigate that in a minute. Right, 2 bolts up here, look to be about 10mm, and that will secure the loom up to the bulkhead. So we'll undo those, and then pretty much the only loom I've then got to mess around with is on the passenger side. Sorry, what is currently the driver's side, but what is going to be the passenger side very, very, very soon. In fact, next time this fucking door, next time this motor car drives, it will be driver's side over there. There we go, that's over there. So that's the injector heater thingy bob, what's its name? Usual flip. Now there's a shitload of speaker wires on this. I've got no idea where the speakers actually are. There doesn't appear to be one speaker in this car, but I've got lots of speaker wire. Let's just take this piece out. Most of it is intact, so I can go back on. I can go over the boot. Right, let's start gabbing on. Let's get this dash out. So, what are we going to do? Sit on the handy side step first of all. Now, we've got a whole load of relays up here. We've got connectors up here which go up to the back of the car. We've got door relays. And we've got the loom which comes in from outside the car. So just connect to the back loom. I'm rather hoping that we'll be able to keep the back loom as is. Oh look, more fucking speaker wire. I think. Looks like it. In thousands of them. Right. See, look, there's another load of radio speaker. Radio. That's all part of that radio loom. What I need to do really, I think I'll just chop these wires off where there's a connector. You don't want all that shit. That's quality, that is. Look, it's just wrapped together. As is these, I expect. Yeah, they're just wrapped together. And what's that one? That's just all wrapped together. So that's all the speaker wire now. It can go over there. They might have had an amp in the boot, I suspect. So that's all there. One of the rear connectors undone. Now we've got door connectors here. There's 4 door connectors. You've got puddle lamps and all sorts of stuff going on with these ones. There's the door loom clear. We've got the little plunger for the door, whatever it is, courtesy light. Take the grommet off, undo the screw there. That needs to come off as well at some point. There we go. Loom should now be free of the vehicle. Now what we've got here, that's the relays. Just a torch. It's basically what I've done is I've left absolutely everything attached to the loom exactly as it should be. Purely because I want to, that's the vacuum pipe for the heater. Because I wanted to make sure that when the new loom goes back in, I know this loom came out working. Oh, this is interesting. These fuckers here would appear to, this is what I mean about left hand drive and right hand drive. These are wedged between the throttle cable, the bonnet pull. So the bonnet pull cable is trapping the loom. For these, come on Richard, fucking arsewipe. I'll take that one off there, can't the blue one. Sometimes this job is less fun, only sometimes. That one's out. Should be out. 2. Then I've just got the blue one, which that relay came off. What a fucking ball's ache. Get off of you, fuck. There's a course, the not only is the bonnet pulling away, but the clutch pedal, brain's not working, mate. Sorry. Now, having done that, I can now remove the car. One move. Just like that. That's the old passenger side. That's the old driver's side. And obviously we've got the loom going across the top there. So now I need to put new loom in and make sure it all fits up. On the inside here, now I've got a torch, you can see how bare this thing looks without the bloody loom in it. There's so much junk in here. Right, what I do need to do, I don't know what those are for. I suppose actually on the other car it's going to need to strap, because these are for right-hand drive, they're to strap the loom that goes to the under seat area, but we don't have that on this car. There's no under seat fuse box. Right, I think next I'm going to get this sound deadening out. It's all quite clean in here though. Right, so that's all the sound deadening out. The good news is I found more money. That looks like Portuguese original money, that does. 5 pustas. Right, okay, so a little bit of history to go with the car. This is the rot I was talking about. While it doesn't go up onto the A-post, it is actually a little bit worse than I thought it was going to be. There are, I mean, obviously there's been some moisture trapped underneath the sound deadening. So I think really what I need to do here is have a bloody good sweep out and work out what we're going to do about the welding situation. On this side, similar story, quite a lot of moisture been underneath this sound deadening here. There's a little hole up here as well, which is, that unfortunately has come through at the trailing edge of the inner wing. Under here, in fact you can see the hole just there. You can't, I made the torch race just there. So there's been some moisture collected at the bottom of the fuck is that? What that is? Little gift. The gift. It's a gift from the car that keeps on giving. I think the next stage on this, let's get these side trims out, just screws. I mean, every screw I've done so far has come out fairly easily. And I'm going to get the plastic trim off from around the seats. I might have to just lift the seats out as well. We'll see. This side appears to be a lot worse up to the edge of the seat, so it'd be pointless me welding up to that edge there with all the plastic in the way to find that it's got holes underneath the seat. That would be a bit silly, wouldn't it, Richard? Yes, Richard. Right. Getting cool out here. Right. Righty, right face. Oh, there's another coin there, look. Wonder what that one is. It's a copper coin. Put all the coins up there. Here again. That should be fairly straightforward to repair that bit. There's a small hole down here. It probably just needs a patch. I've got a feeling these fixings are going to need to be drilled out. We'll give them a go. We will give them a go. The seat boxes on these are welded in rather than the earlier style, which were bolted in. So that's not too much of a problem. It's just literally just undo these Allen bolts and the seats, the runners and the seats just lift off. Right, I'm going to go now because those guys over there are making a lot of noise again, crunching away, recycling. Let me get these bits out like I just mentioned, and I will come back to you. Got all of the seats and trim out. Now, majority of this just looks like very, very, very light surface corrosion, and no real concerns about any of this. So I think aside from that hole there, I think the rest of this isn't actually too bad on this side. Obviously that piece up there, but I can weld that up. That's not a problem. This is all tow bar wiring, dual electrics wiring and speaker wiring. It's just all over the place really. And on this side, it's got a bit quieter now. They normally go quiet at 4 o'clock. Now this side is not quite so pretty. So here, well, that's not too bad there. It could, again, just have a surface rust situation here. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and get myself a brush and see if we can clear the worst of this crap out of here. Oh, I found a big load more change. You want to see the change I've found. I think whoever was driving this thing, because it was all driver's seat, all in the driver's seat. Let's get it to that. Count up what we've got. Oh, Mr. Gravity. Just drop one. That joke will never get tired in my eyes. Oh, where are we? There we are. So here's the shrapnel situation. Let's go downwards. What have we got? There we are. Look at that lot. Some of these are copper. I don't know what they are because they've all got rust and shit stuck to them. There you go. You thought I was joking when I said people hid their gold sovereigns in cars. No. Is that a Portuguese one? No, that's euros. That's euros. That's euros. Or cents, I should say. That one I don't know because I haven't got my glasses on. That one looks Arabic. Right. All swept out. Couple of tiny holes. I mean, this really is kind of, I just probably put a blob of weld into that. That's going to need a bit more because there's a bit more taken out there. But if you look at that, that's kind of the sill section. But I reckon that can be patched. I'm going to cut the rust out first, of course. Then it gets a bit more serious at the bottom of the A-post. Nothing, again, too dramatic. And then from this line here, which is the end of the sill, up until the front of the footwell, that's pretty much gone the whole way down the passenger side. So I think that's a fairly straightforward big lump of flat steel. And on this side, it's actually a little bit better. There's a huge, great heat mat underneath the what was the driver's seat. Other than that, it was mainly surface corrosion under here. It was quite damp. So I suspect that really there's a hole there. You can see that one. Similar sort of problem to the driver's side, but nowhere near as bad. That corner's the worst bit. It's gone along this edge here. I'll get the flat wheel in there tomorrow. I'm not going to do it tonight because I can't be asked. But I'll get the flat wheel in there tomorrow. And perhaps we can get some plates welded in there. Because once the plates are welded in, I can put the loom and everything back in. I want to get some decent paint to paint the floor with. But other than that, I think it's all right. Oh, the other thing, the wires that were coming off these two things here, the tow bar. It's always amused me when I find things like this. That was what was underneath the boot floor. It's live wires just sitting there. Never mind. It happens. First weekend of working on this car. We've got a slight issue in that I've got no fucking power this weekend. I borrow power off a neighbour and the neighbour's turned the power off. Never mind, shit happens. I've been able to do some spannering. I was rather hoping to get some welding done. As you've seen, the new driver's side footwell is largely welded up. I need to grind some of those welds back, but obviously with no power, I can't use the grinder. There's a petty dispute going on somewhere, nothing to do with me. Right, so I stripped down the front near side hub. It's actually in really good order. So all of the bolts come undone, apart from one, and I'll go over that in a second. Swivel ball is in excellent condition. CV joint is fucked. Hear it rattling? Yeah, I've had it apart. It's fucked. There wasn't any oil in the hub at all. The diff is full, but there was no oil at all in the swivel. So it hadn't had one stop in it or anything like that. It was just oil, and it had all drained out. So I think the service schedule had been missed on this hub. It didn't seem particularly gloopy behind. One thing I have found is this whole car has got acres of wax over it. I've dropped the steering box out, as you can see. That hasn't been waxed, but this has been waxed up here. All of this area around here is just thick in wax, and then that hasn't been waxed. So it's a bit odd how some things have been waxed and other bits haven't. And this isn't leaking oil. This is actually wax up here. That's all power steering fluid and shit down there, just waste fluid that I shall dispose of responsibly. Now, I did find the root cause of the enormous amount of play that was in the steering. The steering box goes down there. I've got a new phone. This is a Samsung Galaxy, I think it's an A51. It's very slow to focus. I left the other camera at home today for some reason. I don't know why. Anyway, the reason for the enormous amount of play, aside from this ball joint being a bit shagged out, that's the drop arm obviously that goes on the bottom of the steering box, is the nut that holds the drop arm onto the bottom of the steering box was finger tight. Absolutely and utterly finger tight. So I think someone had ballsed up there. Now, having done that, there's a tiny bit of play in that. I mean, the box is knackered, but it's nowhere near as knackered as I first thought. There's maybe a millimetre of end float in there. I've got a couple of these left-hand drive boxes now, so I'm actually going to pull one apart for shits and giggles and show you what goes on inside them. So here we've got, this is the new hub that's going to go onto the passenger side. I've made sure I can undo the drain plug and also the filler plug. The filler plug was a bit of a ball's ache. This has had one stop in it, which is fine. It just needs a bit of a hose out. There is some surface rust on the outside. I'll go over it with the wire cup. That's not really a problem. Isn't it peaceful today? This is the old near side hub. You can see this is the extent of the wax that's on here. It's just tons and tons and tons of it. This is kind of the balance bar and the brake back plate supporting bracket, and I cannot get that bolt undone. They are a Torx fitting. As you can see, I've been fairly brutal with that one. You can't because it's not in focus. It is now. I've been fairly brutal with that one. I just don't want to know. When I do get it out, I'll have to drill it out, and then I can get the bottom pin out. If I can't get the bottom pin out, then I'll have to put a new bottom pin in. But I've got salvaged the good bearing from the bottom of the swivel. This is all stuff to do with that passenger side. The discs are fucked. The hub is fine. The back plate is like new. Absolutely, you know, nothing wrong with that at all. Just going to give it a quick wipe down and put it straight back on again. Drive plate, wheel bearings all look good. Caliper. Bit of a quandary about what to do with the caliper. One of the seals has popped itself out there. The metal ring has come out. I'll have a chat with the customer, find out what he wants to do about calipers. These are original AP lock key calipers, and they're in really good order. There's no rust or anything on them. In fact, if I wipe some of that corrosion off, I reckon that it would be kind of clean underneath. Now, interestingly, they don't have the original brake pipes on them. So at some point, someone has replaced the brake lines on there. I'll do them again because I think these are probably steel. If they are copper or conifer, I will use these. If they're steel, I'll replace them just because shits and giggles. Drive shaft. Excellent order, no problems at all with that. Any of the splines on it, of course, it's the 10 spline, not the 24 spline, but then I would have expected that. The only other thing I've noticed while I was down here, this car's had a shunt on this corner. So I was looking at it just now, and there's a dent here. and there's a dent there, and there's a dent there, and down here, that piece down there on the edge of that's been pushed over. So this whole corner has been shoved that way. And here you can see the dent on the outer wing. Now, I don't think it's serious. I mean, certainly there's no damage to the chassis. There's no damage to the rest of the inner wing. I'll see if I can just tap that back into shape again. But if I can't, then it took me a while to notice it. I'm guessing it's going to take someone else a while to notice it. The bumper blade's also bent here, look. That bumper blade is bent down. But again, it's going to take you a while to notice that. There is no headlight washers set up on this at all. So I need to get that sorted out, because it would be useful to have headlight washers, especially in this country. So I was going to basically get this near side hub rebuilt and get the preload and everything sorted out, but because I can't get that bolt out of the bottom arm, that's not going to happen, really. Oh, hello. Someone's having a bit of fun. Yeah, yeah, so brakes are all drained down now. I'm going to remove the pedal box tomorrow and start stripping that down and prepare it. So this afternoon, I'm going to go and take the heater unit back and get that stripped down and refurbished. It needs new felts and foams and God knows what else. But other than that, ball joints. So again, I've been pulling various bits and bobs off this, so preparing it really for the right-hand drive conversion. So I've dropped the panhard rod down, which is just there. And it does make the body a little bit wobbly now because the axle's on the axle stands, but the body's no longer steady on the axle stands. So you've got to be a little bit careful. So when I get light tomorrow, what first job I might do is actually on this side, put that put the right-hand drive drop arm in place, and refit the panhard rod back the way it should go. I hadn't thought at all about bushes on this thing, but they do appear. I mean, I've had a screwdriver, I've had a jemmy in here, and they don't appear to have any particular play. So I think what we'll do is we'll leave them as they are. They're not a world of pain to change at some point in here, and this is not a complete end-to-end nut and bolt restoration, this job. This is more about getting this thing converted to right-hand drive, and where possible replacing slightly shagged out components with better components. I think the bushing on this is actually in good order. When I take the steering arms off, I will need to just double check the steering damper, make sure that's in good order. Yeah, that's what I was hoping to do today, or yesterday. That little hole there, it's quite a small hole, that one. There's also a hole up here underneath the pedal box. It's just about, you can see it just there. And that'll be fairly straightforward to weld up. I'll cut the rust out, but I'll put a patch, weld it from the inside, I think. And it might need just a skim of filler and just a touch of paint over the top of it. But all of that area is going to be hidden by the loom and the washer bottle. So I'm not particularly bothered about that. As long as it's watertight and it's not going to allow water into the cabin, I'll be okay. I don't know if I covered it, but turbo's fucked. I'm going to have to take the turbo off, but I reckon there's about 4 or 5 mil. I can certainly pull the impeller, the impeller, the turbo shaft in and out, and it wobbles from side to side as well. Turns. I'll have to investigate, find out if there's a cartridge available for me to rebuild it. But when you field plane, and they're normally, kind of, they're on their way. I think that was past its best youth. Now, the thing that kind of I was thinking about on this whole project, we go to the back of the dark workshop. There is a thing that kind of, I'm a bit odd about, and that's 309,527. So that's 309,000 kilometers on this vehicle. And most of the bits I've taken off, really, they're not showing that level of wear. I'll have to convert that into miles, but I think it's actually, I don't know if it's had a different speedo put on it. I do need to sort all of this interior trim out. So all of these door cappings and so forth, they've all been kind of done by someone else. I need to get new handles and so forth. Get the thing looking a bit cleaner and tidier. Headlining's all right. It's dropped a little bit, but nothing serious. I'll have to find out from the customer what he actually wants to do. The other thing I've forgotten about is the headlining. So left-hand drive to right-hand drive. The sun visors, of course, the mirror, the vanity mirror, is now on the driver's side. And there's no vanity mirror on the passenger side. So I'll have to see if I can get hold of a couple of sun visors. Because I'm sure that Tom doesn't really want to look at himself when he pulls the sun visor down to protect his eyes while he's driving this fine vehicle. It's beautifully restored Cairngorm Brown 2-door 1991 Range Rover 2.5 VM. I like this car. I do like it. I'm going to find myself a 2-door Range Rover, aren't I? It's not like I've got enough already. Just something quite charming about this one. Just the lack of rot. I know I've done a load of welding on the footwells, but there's just a lack of rot in general. And it's just, you know, everything is... It wants preserving, really. So, I mean, what I think we're going to need to do with this thing, there is a steam clean unit just up the road. And when it's back on its wheels again, I might drive it up to the steam clean unit and just get them to go over it. Absolutely go over the whole damn thing and wash all the salt and sand off it. I know it's going to...